Inspired by Mozart's String Quartet, Koszul 464, Beethoven's Opus 18 No. 5 shares many traits with its predecessor. With few exceptions, Beethoven adopts from Mozart's quartet the same tonality, metric organization, tempos, and architecture of movements. However, he doesn't attempt to imitate Mozart's style, but instead references the traditional style of quartet writing. In fact, the style often resembles Haydn's more than Mozart's, especially in the Minuet. We made a whole video about the backstory of the quartet here, so be sure to check that out. And before we dive into our exploration of this quartet, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next video, where we'll continue our journey through this quartet. Now let's get back to Beethoven's Quartet Opus 18, No. 5. In the first movement, Beethoven retains the same key as Mozart, A major, and keeps the Allegro tempo marking, meaning at a fairly brisk speed. However, a significant difference lies in the meter. Whilst Mozart's piece is in 3/4, Beethoven's is in 6/8. This gives these two movements a distinctly different feel. Have a listen. Compared to the other opening movements of Opus 18, this first movement is light and exuberant. For example, in the first movement of his Opus 18 No. 1, Beethoven extensively explores contrapuntal techniques, giving the movement a sense of learned seriousness. In contrast, the opening of Opus 18 No. 5 is clear, joyful, and free of drama. Theme group A is playful and effervescent. It opens with motif A1, a rising 8th note line marked by a gruppetto, or a quick turn of notes, and a sforzando, meaning to play with sudden emphasis. This melody is propelled by a rising figure in the cello. The first violin then proposes a swirling 16th note figure, motif A2, which provokes staccato responses in the other instruments, highlighted here in gray. The only hint of drama in the exposition comes in the bridge when the quartet announces a new minor mode figure in unison. This stark contrast to theme group A introduces some tension, but it still lacks any serious dramatic weight. Contrary to Beethoven's other quartets, the development of this movement is quite light and short, consisting only of 55 measures compared to the exposition's 80 measures. This is quite unusual for a composer who is known for his proportionally outsized development sections that explode with drama. Perhaps in keeping with Mozart's spirit, Beethoven here opts for a lighter touch, free from elaborate counterpoint. following Mozart's lead, Beethoven, for the only time in his Opus 18 quartets, replaces the slow second movement with a genteel minuet. This choice is unusual, as he often favors a raucous scherzo to a courteous minuet. In fact, only 2 of the 6 Opus 18 quartets feature a minuet. Similar to Mozart, Beethoven retains the key of A major for this movement. However, whilst Mozart moves to E major for the contrasting trio, Beethoven remains in A major throughout. This minuet is a charming and refined dance in the style of Haydn. It opens with this polite violin duet, gracefully introducing the theme. Instead of the typical repeat of what we've just heard, Beethoven writes out the same material as a duet between the viola and cello, with the violins providing accompaniment. The second half of the minuet introduces a brief moment of dramatic tension, marked by a turn to the minor mode and a long crescendo, culminating in 3 fortissimo, or very loud, chords, followed by silence. However, it's not too serious. The theme returns as if nothing has happened. It seems reasonable to assume that Beethoven drew inspiration from Mozart's minuet for this idea. For comparison, take a listen to a similar passage in Mozart's quartet, where 4 forte chords lead to silence. The middle section, known as the trio, takes the form of a charming Ländler, a German country dance. Notice how the offbeat sforzandi, or sudden emphases, throw things off kilter, adding a rustic contrast to the elegant minuet. This is one of Beethoven's favorite tricks. In the first 2 movements of Beethoven's Opus 18 No. 5, it's clear how he skillfully balances homage to Mozart with his own original style. Next week, we'll dive into the final 2 movements of this quartet, uncovering even more about this youthful work. In the meantime, what do you think about this quartet? Share your thoughts in the comments below.